Okay. Robin here, and I'm gonna presenting the Actigraph training. Can anyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, so next slide, please. So we are from Stanford University and from the Wearable Health Lab, and we have been working with the Actigraph sensors for many years. So today is an introduction of what the equipment is and also reviewing the operation procedure. Of course, the video recorded was kind of an operation demo, and it's probably hard to really see the detail of the setups on this screen, but it's on YouTube. Later on, you can always review it, rewatch it. Okay, next slide. So first, we need to review the equipment and document. This red sensor is called the Actigraph GT3X sensor, and that is the primary sensor we're going to use for this study. And this sensor is an accelerometer that records your activity for up to 20 days without a battery charge. So this itself is, once it's set up, we're just providing a patient with a belt or a band, and they'll wear it for 24 hours a day for at least 7 days. And then they'll mail back or send it back, return the sensor back to us, and we'll be reading the data. So it's passive recording of all their daily activities. This sensor is not waterproof, so we will not asking patient to wear it during water activities like swimming or taking showers. So they can remove it for that. Okay, and for these demonstration purposes, we are going to need 2 sensors. This is designed for the UCSF site. For other UC sites, it's only going to be 1 sensor. And so let's just use UCSF as a demonstration. What you need are 2 sensors. And because the sensor has a cap, you need to have a tool, either a flathead screwdriver or quarter coin or key to unlock the cap. So basically twist it up or unscrew it to open it so that you can plug it into the computer. Additional accessories include a wristband and waist belt. So for people who have oversized wrists or waist, you may connect 2 belts or wristband together to provide an extra large belt to use. And each sensor, you can plug in both sensors together to the PC simultaneously, or you can plug in 1 sensor, set it up, unplug it, and set in another one. So you can use 1 or 2 micro USB cable. It requires a special software on a Windows PC that's called Actigraph software, and it has a special version and also activation product key. So sometimes the software itself will automatically log you out. So always keep the activation key in hand, save on the computer somewhere so you can always find it. And additionally, it's better to print out the operation manual as a reference when you're doing the setup. And also for each participant, before distribution of the sensor, you need to print out the wearing instruction printout, and also providing the patient with a return envelope so that they can mail it back. Next slide, please. So this is the video for the operation demo, and it's on YouTube. Later on, we'll share the link. So you can just click it, and can you go back?
It can take a second to load up.
Yeah, probably. Or you can click the link. I'm not really sure that's a better way.
Usually it pops up.
It may be YouTube's issue.
Maybe. Hold on, give me 1 second. It was working earlier. Sorry, give me 1 second.
If needed, I can share my screen to actually view the video on my device.
Do you have it up, Robin?
Yeah, I can do
Okay,
it.
sure.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go presentation. Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry,
Can
Robin.
you all hear it?
No, you're going to need to stop sharing your screen. And at the bottom left, when you're sharing, hit share computer sounds.
Okay, nice. Can you hear it?
This is the instructional tutorial video for
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay.
how to handle the Actigraph sensor data collection and retrieval using the Actigraph software. Before we begin, please make sure you have reviewed the operation manual PDF file. It contains all the information needed and also highlight the setup procedures. So first, we need to review our key components. First is the GT3X sensor and also the micro USB cable, plus to install the Actigraph software on your Windows PC properly and register as a license. First, we need to review how to open up the sensor. So on top of the sensor, there's a black belt and a screw cap. That is, when it's tight, it will be waterproof. So you need to open it up to connect to the cable. In this case, you just need to find a screwdriver or a quarter coin to untie it and review the micro USB cable port. So you need to connect your micro USB cable one end to the sensor and the other end to the PC, and that once the sensor connected, you will see the typical interface like this. And please make sure you have the sensor battery charged above 90% before use. And also you need to initialize your sensor before use. So I'll show you in this interface. So here I have my sensor plug in and it has 90% charging, so 90% of battery, which is okay to use. And it has some information already there, and also it has contained previously recorded data. In this case, it's 2018. What I need to do is to initialize, click initialize, and click regular initialization, and it will open up a window for selection. What you need to select is your recording starting time. So typically it will be a time that in the future, right? So in this case, I can set it up for tomorrow morning or other places, but for our purposes, we can choose a time, say like 4 p.m. In this case. So I'm choosing today at 4 p.m. to record it, and I'm not selecting any stop time and using local computer time, select the recording rate at 100 Hertz and make sure you disable this idle sleep mode. Also, you can uncheck this delay mode LED just to save some battery life. So key information is select a starting time, make sure not selecting a stop time, and 100 Hertz as a sampling rate, and also disable this idle sleep mode. And next, you will enter the subject information. You will have the serial number, which you don't need to change anything. However, the subject number, you should update it to your setting. So typical setup is a center number, a subject number, and also underline a visit number. So
I want to pause here because according to the new guideline for subject ID, so we will change it the exact way of this number to be inputted, but this is the place to actually input the subject information.
In this case, it will be 0, 1. And you will need to select whether this person is male or female. So basically, you can drop down menu, select your patient participant's gender. Height, weight information, if you have those, you can input it. If you do not, that's okay. The important thing to note is to document where this sensor will be put it. So in this case, it can be put it on the wrist or waist or other places. For our study, it could be either wrist or waist. And for example, for the wrist, you also need to document which side it is. So usually I put the sensor on the left arm, simply for a right-hand dominant person. So in this case, it needs to document the dominant hand or non-dominant. So I'm documenting its left wrist, it's the non-dominant hand. And so just one more time, double check on the information. I have a subject number, recording time, and then the places of sensor placement. No need to change other things. I'll just click initialization. And afterwards, the window will show finished initializing, and it has the other information available. That's once the sensor finished initialization, you can then unplug the sensor and tighten the waterproof cap on the sensor. You also need to document the starting date and end date on the patient instruction form. The end date is starting date plus 8 full days. And so for example, using this provided form, you need to print it out and provide it to our participant. You will need to write down the information. So for example, for today's setup, we start recording at 4 p.m. today. So we will write down the starting date and also plus 8 days as the end date. Also, we will need to review the information about how to wear it, what to document, this key information of this package to our participants. For example, they will only need to take it off during water activities, and they'll also need to write down the time they took it off and on the back of the form. So remind them to be careful, changing clothes, going to restroom, this kind of thing. And ask them to not change anything to their daily routine. And another important information is how to wear it. So in this package, we provide information for how to wear it on the hip and also how to wear it on the wrist. Also, you need to, again, remind them to not take it off until a certain days. And also, it's important to emphasize to them that if they forgot to wear it for several days, they need to make it up afterwards. So for example, they miss one day during the period, so they should extend their end date for one more day to make up for that. And also, you need to write down your CRC's contact information here in case the participant need to go back to check on the issue. The sensor after wearing it for full 7 days. You should download the data using the USB cable and the Actigraph software. So once you plug in the sensor using the same method back to the PC, you should see this kind of interface. And what you need to do is to click on the download button, and it will open up a window for detailing the parameter settings. Please make sure you review this PDF file and make sure you are choosing the exact same setup. Okay, so I'm just documenting here. So I have a sensor plugin. It contained 2 days and 1 hour data. It was set up earlier, 2 days ago. So it doesn't have the same subject number, but that's okay for today's demonstration purposes. So what I'm going to do is click download, you'll open up this window. First thing first, you need to change the saving location. Ideally, each person should have its own subfolder. So in this case, I created a 01000101 folder that identified as center 1, subject 1, visit 1. Okay, underneath, I'm gonna select this folder as a saving folder. Another thing is to make sure you are choosing the subject name as the download naming conversion. So use that. And other things to select is this epoch setting to change it to 60 seconds. Access, number of access as 3, make sure it's 3. And the other information is to make sure you did not check this low frequency extension. Leave it unchecked. Make sure on that. And then you can just click. After downloading the data, the file will be saved under this document, Actigraph, Actilife, download, and subfolders. Make sure you have 2 files. And for example, in this one, when I download it, it's a subfolder. And the file is labeled as subject name and subject name 60 seconds. So one file is super big. That is the GT3X file, raw device data, which is big. The other one is called AGD file. That is relatively small. Both files are needed for future data analysis. Thus, it has to be saved and uploaded to the data server. So in that case, you should upload this subfolder in the entire folder to the data server, and then that wrap up the data.
Okay, next slide. I think I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay. Okay, this is your last slide. Any questions, anyone?
I've got one question about the analysis. You're doing it to assess physical activity, but they're also wearing it overnight, so you could assess sleep. I think there's been some recent papers on using Actigraph for assessing sleep, and it's reasonably accurate. Just, you know,
It is possible, but because based on our experience, the internal algorithm is kind of a messy to actually truly reliably detect the sleep period. So right now we are not really intend to analyze those, but the data is there, and it is possible for later on use to analyze sleep.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have questions? So we'll be providing 6 waste devices per site, so you can rotate them because they'll be out, you know, with the patients for about 7 days or more, depending on when they return it back to you. So you should have enough to rotate through for at least 3 weeks. And then can you remind us again about the charging? You said it holds a charge for fairly long, right?
Yes, the sensor itself can stay on for 20+ days. So so basically you just make sure you are charging it before distribution to full charge. So leave it all the way plug in, charged, and then when you have the participant visit, so set it up and unplug it, and then hand it over to the participant, and then it should last for 20 more days at least.
And does and if you keep it plugged in, it doesn't like ruin the battery or anything, right? You don't have to take it off as soon as it hits a full charge.
No worries. You don't need to unplug it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.